In the world of energy and transportation, few stories are as surprising, as bold, and as game-changing as this one. Africa, a continent long associated with natural resources, vibrant culture, and untapped potential, has now positioned itself at the front line of electric vehicle innovation. But these aren't just any electric vehicles. These are self-powered EVs, cars designed to recharge themselves, breaking away from the limitations of charging stations, grid dependency, or expensive infrastructure. And now, with the stamp of approval from EDF, the French energy giant, the story takes an even bigger turn. Imagine a vehicle that doesn't need to plug in every few hours, doesn't demand a massive charging network, and doesn't tie its future to fragile energy grids. Instead, picture a car that harvests its own energy, recharges while in motion, and redefines what sustainable mobility means. That is exactly what several African innovators have been working on quietly, and the world is only now beginning to catch on. EDF's approval signals something more than just validation. It signals that the world's traditional energy leaders are watching Africa's progress and, in many ways, feel compelled to acknowledge it. The technology is fascinating. Instead of depending solely on large lithium-ion battery packs and charging plugs, these vehicles combine multiple systems of energy recovery and generation. Think of solar integration directly into the body panels. Think of regenerative mechanisms that go beyond braking systems, capturing vibrations, wind, and even thermal differences to recycle them into usable power. Some prototypes even experiment with nanogenerators embedded into wheels, turning every rotation into a source of electricity. These are not just ideas on paper anymore. They are becoming functional machines that challenge everything we thought we knew about electric mobility. EDF's role in this narrative makes it even more compelling. For decades, EDF has been one of the world's largest producers and distributors of electricity, deeply rooted in Europe's energy strategy. For such a company to look at African-made self-powered EVs and give them a nod of approval speaks volumes. It suggests that these vehicles are not only real but also scalable, feasible, and disruptive enough to catch the attention of one of the world's biggest energy players. What most people didn't expect is how Africa, often overlooked in conversations about high-tech innovation, has leapfrogged into the spotlight. Unlike Europe or America, where infrastructure and industries are already deeply tied to existing systems, Africa faces a different challenge: limited charging infrastructure. But that challenge, instead of being a barrier, has become an opportunity. Why build an expensive nationwide charging grid when you can build vehicles that don't need it in the first place? It's not just about cars. This is about independence. A continent that has often been dependent on imports, foreign oil, and external technologies is now creating machines that could make it self-reliant in one of the most crucial industries of the future: transportation. For ordinary Africans, it means not worrying about where the next charging station is, not depending on erratic fuel supplies, and not being left behind as the world transitions to electric mobility. For the global industry, it means competition. It means a new source of innovation, one that comes from necessity, creativity, and the willingness to solve problems differently. The ripple effects are massive. If self-powered EVs become mainstream in Africa, the continent could redefine its place in the global automotive landscape. Instead of being seen as a market for used cars and outdated models, Africa could suddenly become an exporter of groundbreaking technology. Imagine African-made EVs not only roaming local streets but also being shipped to Asia, Europe, and America, vehicles that don't rely on fragile power grids or charging networks, vehicles that could revolutionize transportation in developing countries worldwide. This is why EDF's approval is so significant. It's not just about Africa anymore. It's about a shift in how the world views energy, cars, and the future of mobility. The big corporations, the policymakers, and the tech giants will now have to pay closer attention. What once seemed like an underdog story is quickly becoming a global headline. The truth is, nobody expected this. Nobody thought that Africa would be the place where the future of EVs would take such a dramatic turn. But innovation has always thrived where the need is greatest, and in this case, Africa's unique challenges have given rise to solutions the rest of the world could only dream of. The world's attention is now locked on what comes next. Will these self-powered EVs scale up fast enough? Will governments and investors step in to support mass production? Or will bigger global players try to buy into or even slow down the movement to protect their own interests? Whatever the answers, one thing is clear: Africa is no longer just following the path of innovation, it is setting the pace. So, the next time someone tells you the future of electric cars belongs to Silicon Valley, to Europe, or to Asia, remind them of this: Africa's self-powered EVs have already secured EDF's approval, and the world didn't see it coming. The revolution is here. And it started where nobody expected. And here's the part that will shock you even more. These self-powered EVs are not science fiction. They are being tested, refined, and rolled out step by step. While the rest of the world debates charging speeds, battery swaps, and building networks that cost billions, Africa is experimenting with cars that sidestep the problem altogether. Imagine how disruptive this could be. The oil industry? Threatened. The charging infrastructure business? Challenged. Even big EV manufacturers? Forced to rethink their strategies. Because if cars can charge themselves, the game changes forever. EDF's approval adds credibility that money can't buy. It signals to investors that this isn't a wild dream but a legitimate opportunity. It tells policymakers that supporting this technology isn't risky, but rather smart. And it sends a message to competitors that the tide of innovation doesn't always flow from Silicon Valley or Europe. Sometimes, it rises from places nobody was watching. For everyday people, the potential is breathtaking. Think of rural communities in Africa where access to fuel is scarce, where charging stations are non-existent, and where power outages are common. Now picture a vehicle that doesn't care about any of that. It just moves, generating its own energy as it goes. Suddenly, mobility is no longer a privilege tied to geography or infrastructure. It becomes accessible, reliable, and sustainable. This is more than transportation. This is empowerment. It's the story of a continent rewriting its future. And with EDF's approval, the rest of the world can no longer ignore it. The shift has already begun. And here's where you come in. If this story surprised you, imagine how many others are still unaware of it. Africa's self-powered EVs could very well be the spark that ignites the next industrial revolution in mobility. But the world needs to see it, to talk about it, and to push the conversation forward. So let me ask you, what do you think? Will self-powered EVs dominate the roads of tomorrow? Or will the giants of the industry fight to keep the status quo? Could Africa really become the birthplace of the next global car revolution? Share your thoughts in the comments, I'll be reading them all. If you found this story fascinating, don't forget to like this video, it helps spread the message far and wide. And if you want to stay ahead of the curve on the technologies that are shaping our future, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because trust me, this is only the beginning. Africa's self-powered EVs just got EDF's approval. The world didn't expect it. But now, nobody can deny it. The future of cars has changed forever. If this breakthrough amazed you as much as it did me, now it's your turn to act. Hit that like button to help spread this story across the world, drop a comment below with your thoughts on Africa's self-powered EVs, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next big innovation changing our future. Together, let's keep uncovering the stories the world didn't expect, but everyone needs to know.